like I said, congratulations, you have made it to Pitch Night 2022. Right now we have 3 of our sharks with us on the screen. We're still waiting for one, but I'm going to go through and make introductions really quickly. Our first shark, as you can see, I'm just going to go in the order there on the screen. Jennifer Castenson. She is a VP at Build Exact. Over the course of her career, Jennifer has played, I think, a very interesting role in terms of the built environment, in that she was with Hanley Wood, which turned Zonda, and she's been in charge of research and writing and also putting on live events, coordinating live events. Recently, she coordinated the Entree Architect Conference in Austin, Texas, which was a big deal to me and some others on the screen. So Jennifer is really plugged in terms of tech in the building environment. So Jennifer, welcome. Thanks for being one of the sharks.
Thanks.
The next person on my slides here is Robert Ewan. He's an architect, University of Michigan grad, the CEO, co-founder and CEO of Monograph, which is a project management software that did you say 800 the other day? 800 firms?
Almost.
About 800 firms across the country are using Monograph for their operations management. I'm going to say it that way, through Monograph. So Robert is experienced in startup and also fundraising for startups, knows this environment very, very well, and he might play the role of Mr. Wonderful tonight. I'm not sure. Robert, thank you and welcome. Thanks for being one of our sharks tonight.
My pleasure.
Next on my screen is Todd Redding. He's the CEO of Charette Venture Group. Also no stranger to this space, because Charette Venture Group invests in design firms. How many investment partners do you have at Charette these days?
We're just under 40.
Just under how many?
40.
Just under 40. So right now, Charette is invested in just under 40 firms, mainly across the U.S. Do you have any international at this point?
We have one that we're working with that's not in the partnership yet, but they're in Toronto.
Okay. So we're going to call it North America.
Right.
All right. So Todd really spends a lot of his time considering proposals, considering businesses, considering design firms, and looking at their potential as investment possibilities. So Todd, welcome, and thanks again for being one of our sharks.
Thanks for having me.
I think I just saw Belanli's name pop up, so we'll see. Maybe she's coming in right now. Belanli,
hi, I'm right here.
All right. Oh, it's because of the roll on my screen. Belanli, welcome. Belanli is the chief financial officer at Mancini Duffy in New York, which is a 100-plus-year-old firm, architecture firm in New York. She and her partners are co-owners of that firm. They've reimagined that firm over the past 6 or 7 years, maybe, I guess. And one of the things that I think many of you will find interesting is they're pushing the bounds not only of architecture, but how you do architecture, how you work with your clients, the technology that you use, how you serve your clients, and how you deliver projects. So if you're interested in a very tech-forward architecture firm and how they're thinking differently about the practice of architecture, check out Mancini Duffy in New York. Super interesting story. 100-plus-year-old firm that's one of the most tech-forward firms in the country. So Belanli, thank you for joining us, and thanks for being one of our sharks tonight.
Thanks for having me. Excited.
So here's the schedule for tonight. You should all have this. It's in Canvas, but we're going to start out with Data Daddy, then go to Clean R, then Blossom, then the Quick Sniffer. We'll take a break after the Quick Sniffer if we have time. Then we'll go to Contagious, say it again, Resilier, Shift Plus, and then design I can't even say it, Biomimetrics. Okay. Biomimicry. You'll have 5 minutes to present. I think that'll leave us with about 8 minutes or so for Q&A, and then we'll move on to the next group. Sharks, I sent you an email. There's a scoring sheet for each of these. It's 5 points for 5 categories, which actually this is what it looks like. So for everybody that's presenting, this is what I showed you last week. The Sharks and myself are looking at your presentation in terms of your presentation, the quality of it, the problem that you have identified, the solution that you're presenting, the plan for implementing the solution, and then an overall score. So 5 points in each of those categories. The Sharks will be scoring you. I will take their scores under consideration as I combine them with my own, and that's how we will and that's how we'll figure out the grade for tonight. So again, Sharks, thank you, and we're just going to get rolling here.
To restart, my apologies. It's my laptop. It's my fault. My name is Derek Baum.
I'm Alex Blyweiss. I'm Spencer Whitmore.
And I'm Garrett Stritzel. So how many of you have felt pressure to get a project out the door, only to later realize that there was a pretty big mistake that cost both you and your client time and money? So have I. So one of the biggest problems that architects face today is the lack of time. On average, today's architects feel that about a quarter of their time in the office is spent doing productive and fulfilling work. The other 75%, as referred here, is drudgery that you just got to get through. So a typical day in the life of an architect is spent doing aimless tasks instead of the fulfilling work that we all wish to do one day. So this diagram shows kind of a glimpse into the daily workload of an architect. Notice the small orange percentage there in the middle circle. That is to represent kind of the fulfilling work that directly relates back to the education experience that you gain to become an architect.
Now, we also know that getting the opportunity to focus just on the design aspect of architecture, which we're all here getting our master's degree to focus on, is possible because these excellent examples that you can see now on your screen, I refer to them as Frank Gehry and friends here. They got to do that. They precisely got to focus just on the fun bits of architecture, the parts that we all get excited about. Now, the way they got to do that was they hired interns and all kinds of staff people to do all the busy work, all the codes that you have to look up. They did all that work for them so that they could focus on that part of the job. Our solution is a little bit different, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
You could do this. You could use things like Grasshopper. These tools are out there. Obviously, this is in some respects an exaggeration, but it's also not. If you've ever used Grasshopper, it can end up looking like this, and it does, and it works. It really does work, but it's very intimidating. So it's not utilized as widely and as well as it could be in our industry. There's also things like upcodes. We know that's a great way to kind of get the codes that pertain to your particular parcel. There's all kinds of really great tools out there, but everyone's got its own subscription and it's got its own kind of tricks and tips that you have to learn and ways that you have to connect to it, update your model, repeat, rinse, and all that kind of stuff. So we want to do it a little bit differently. Not do it that way and use Data Daddy.
Yeah, so our solution is called Data Daddy. Data Daddy streamlines the design process by gathering data from environmental guidelines, accessibility guidelines, local and international building codes, cost estimation, and local demographic information, all in one program. So what this looks like is a simple to use plugin that works with any 3D modeling software of your choice. Basically, you never have to leave your one software again because it's all right there in Data Daddy.
And so the question is, how do we get this involved with all the architecture firms across the country? And so our plans for our launch is that we're going to partner with the Solar Decathlon, in which, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a competition and kind of design challenge through the Department of Energy. And it partners with schools across the country. And so our plan is we want to try to get in partnership with the Solar Decathlon to get this program into the hands of these students so they can kind of understand how it works. And then therefore, once they go into the job field, the workforce, they can understand that, listen, this is how we do it here. And you've been doing it like this for years. Have you heard of this cool software called Data Daddy? And then they can kind of integrate this software into the firms they're going and working for. And so Sharks, as we do this, we can get our time back to do what we really want to in architecture. So the question is now, what are we asking from you? So we would like $10 million for a 10% stake in the company. And we'd also like some financial or some IT advisors to help us kind of create this program and get it out into the world. Thank you.
Where do you guys want to go back to?
And
All right. That's our spiel.
any questions?
Yes, great job, you guys. I'm just gonna throw out some questions real quick. So can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Oh, no, can't hear them.
So this
hang
is
on just a
Jennifer.
Problem now.
I'm sorry, I'm getting all the feedback, so I'm not sure if I should go now.
So just
Yeah, try that.
all right.
Go, Jennifer. We can hear you.
There we go.
Okay, all right, so I have several questions. Just what is the pay model? Will this be subscription, or how do people get it in their hands? And then why Solar Decathlon? Is there a focus on something that so why did you use that as the mechanism to get it out?
So you want to talk about the subscription? I'll hit.
Yeah. So it would be subscription based. And so the idea is we do a soft launch using the students. And so that way we get data back on how the program is functioning. You know, what are the hiccups? What are the things we need to iron out? And then we would probably focus on small firms early on. Again, that way you're having that intimate relationship, kind of customer relationship, so we can get that feedback to continue to grow our product, improve upon it. And then we would go kind of a scaled launch that it would be subscription based.
So, and why the Solar Decathlon is because the Solar Decathlon hits on a lot of the programs that we're trying to streamline into one, as well as it goes through an entire design process. There's a design build portion. So that's where the cost estimation would come in. It gets in the hands of the students and it proves our concept fairly fast and efficiently. So within a 2-year span.
Hey guys, this is Todd. Just a quick question about the problem. You started the presentation off stating that the most significant problem architects face is a lack of time. Can you tell me what you mean by that and why you conclude that that's their biggest problem?
I take it. So the reason why we kind of came at the conclusion is that it's not that they have a lack of time, but it's the way we spend our time is, I guess, a better way to phrase it. Well, no one goes to architecture school because they want to learn about codes. That's no reason that, at least unless anyone else is here wants to correct me on that. Most of us are here because we like to design. And so instead of spending your days in your office reading code books and going through and making sure you're up to code and you meet all your standards, you could have that time and go and design instead. And so while this doesn't get rid of having to obviously make sure you meet codes and everything like that, it makes it a lot easier so you're not spending your days sitting there through a code book trying to figure out everything.
Yeah. And the other important thing is time is money, right? We all know that. So you can really become more and more competitive with the amount of quality work you can pump out in the same amount of time. So if that means that your firm, you want to switch to a 4-day work week, and have that better life, work balance, you could do that, or you could just do more projects. It would kind of be up to the firms individually how they want to use that extra time. But you could also see a scenario where we could get architects involved in more projects, small scale residential, because it could become more and more affordable, which I think is that's a big problem. Is we have kind of the biggest impact on important issues like climate change with the new built environment is really kind of the worst carbon generator. And this would be a great way that we could step in even at the smallest scale, because it's not astronomically expensive to get an architect involved.
Okay, thank you.
I want to press a little bit on monetization. You did say subscription. How much?
So we want to talk about the tier system.
We were talking about a tiered system as kind of what we were thinking. So it'd be kind of like a lot of softwares out there where you have like, you get these benefits, like these features for this package. And then so like different size firms could like add on, maybe if you want to include like the lead certifications, that comes with this package. If you want to, if it includes the climate consultant type of information, then that's in this package. So it'd be a kind of a package where you could scale it to what your firm's needs are. And then it would be the same where like for the student version, it'd be like a common way of where you either get, the watermark on there, or it's simply you don't have some of those end result features of like creating the construction documents and that sort of thing.
So what I hear is you don't know how much you're going to charge.
Well,
you will charge.
We want to be competitive. Somebody mentioned $80 a month. Was kind of just a ballpark that we threw out there that we were trying to wrestle with.
Got it. What I'm trying to allude here is you have 0 sales and you're valuing the business at $100 million. There's no way in hell that's ever going to happen. And you're going to immediately get laughed out of the room if you have no product, no sales. I didn't have clarity in terms of like who on the team. I think there was 4 names, maybe 3 names.
4.
Who's going to build it? Who's going to sell it? Who's going to market it? Who's going to be the CEO? Very unclear in terms of the designations of roles. Unclarity in terms of pricing and packaging. Maybe a little bit of clarity on what packaging might look like, but we don't know the dollar amount. And the dollar amount really, really matters because like if you have 0 sales, and let's assume, let's keep math simple. If you charge $1 a person, what you need to have 100 million architects just to match your current valuation of 100 million. So I think there's a bit of kudos to being a little naiveness in terms of like trying to articulate that the business is valued at 100 million, and even if it was, I'm going to want way more than 10% because you have nothing today. So just keep, first initial reactions is like, oh, like you're asking for 10%. I was, they got to be a little bit more validation that you're further along as a business, where really this is more like a seed deck, right? You have an idea, you want to fund the idea. There's no way in hell that you need 10 million to fund an idea. You might need $500,000 to pay salaries for like 2 years to get the thing going. So just trying to reset expectations in terms of like how the initial pitch started, because it alludes to the business is much more established and it's not quite.
Yeah. And just to layer on that, I think that you guys could take an approach of looking at, this is going to take some incredible integrations. So you said with the 3D platforms and things like that, I would look at what platforms are out there as like a reseller program or collaborations or things like that, that would kind of give you a launching point and give you some credibility also as you go forward.
It's extraordinarily technical, doubling down. That's on the go-to-market side. I have way less confidence on who the hell is going to build it. Because if it's 4 architects trying to build software and I'm an architect who's building software, I can tell you it's not going to happen. Right? Like having a really good founding team and a good point of contact who's going to be your chief technical officer, your first engineer, is extraordinarily necessary when trying to pitch for money to essentially de-risk the pitch. Like right now, the way I look at it is like there's a massive amount of risk. I can give you $10 million, I can give you 100 million, and I still don't have any conviction you can pull it off because no one I'm talking to or looking at can code. On the go-to-market side, I have a lot of worries. Like, is Upcode a competitor? If they are, well, they're way ahead of you. I would love to see a strategy and clarity in terms of like, well, where are they weak and how you plan on going head to head if they are truly a competitor to win. They have years of development ahead of you and they have millions of dollars more than you currently. That will be a big risk that was not really let's say, shone upon in terms of like how it was addressed in the pitch. Second point I will love to point out is, yes, time is money. I love that phrase. Monographs all about time and money, but we tackle time and money head on. What's interesting about this project is that you don't tackle money and time head on. You tackle a data problem head on. So it's like a little bit of critique in terms of like, how do you position the business and how do you position the pitch should be much more aligned, if this is truly the case, along a data problem. Right? It's a workflow problem. It impacts time and money, but not directly.
Appreciate it.
I hate the student route. Like you'll never earn enough money fast enough. Just a heads up. I think the strategy is good, but really I've only seen it work at companies at full maturity. So I see it at SketchUp, I see it at Autodesk, I see it at Rhino, where they're really further along in their maturity, and they have a really robust educational program as part of the go-to-market model, because they can play the longer game. You don't have time when you're just starting a business where you need to produce revenue today, or you're going to burn through millions easy. And if you burn through millions easy with not enough top line revenue growth, you're dead in the water, because no investor is going to invest in your second round, because you haven't proven enough, let's say, execution on your revenue side of the business. Strongly against starting with any type of education model as a go-to-market motion first. It's really, really risky.
Yeah.
And it's break even at best.
I doubt it. Students don't have money. Like you need so many students to buy in incredibly fast pace. It's really, really hard.
I think it would be more about positioning to the DOE for funding. And so it would be a partnership at the government level, and getting these kinds of climate specific tools, optimization tools in the hands of every team, because it's an international project now. So it would be, it's a foot in the door across the globe, I think is what we were thinking in that respect.
And a relatively fast proof of concept, 2-year span, see the project all the way through.
Hey guys, good job going first. Not easy, and these sharks are really sharks. I have real simple comments just to point out. You initially started off data-wise, and you had said something like, architects only spend, 25% of their time doing work they like. And then the next slide, you show us an image that says architects only spend 10%. And then you come to the end where you're trying to show your solution, but you're not sharing with us what that change, like how much time am I going to gain, right? What am I gaining? 50%? I mean, you kind of talked around it and you said, we would have time to do all these different types of projects, but your name is Data Daddy, right? So you need to show us or show someone, okay, this is how much time I'm actually going to, if you're solving a time problem, this is how much time I'm actually going to add, or what you're projecting to add. I would also speak to the number side of things, because you've not shown us anything financially, right? No projections, no where you are at. And as Robert had mentioned, you asked for $10 million. So in true Shark Tank form, I would have to say no to this deal.
I might extend an offer of like $2 for the work.
Robert, don't hurt their feelings. Come on.
Hey, I'm trying to be Mr. Wonderful here.
You did it.
I got to pull my inner Mr. Wonderful.
Right. That's great. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. So bold. I can't wait for what's next. Took me years to build the confidence to ask for 10 million. I love it.
Robert, they're building boldly.
I know, it's
Real
great.
goal.
It's so great. It took me so long to build that confidence.
Oh, 10 million, it's nothing, right?
Move out here. It really is nothing. It's
Easier to raise 10 million than it is to raise one.
You'd be surprised on how fast you can spend it.
Right.
I hope
Okay.
someone presents a
There you go.
projection report or a P&L.
Yeah.
That will really be exciting to see.
So we are the Cleaner Crew. I am Brittany Castro.
I'm Alejandro Flores.
I'm Kapu Arcega.
Yes, so the Cleaner Crew is here to tell you guys about an app that we developed to help us solve the problem that we think everyone has dealt with in their lives. And that problem is trash. So you can go anywhere in the city and you'll probably see some form of trash or unsightly thing you don't want to deal with. So that's the problem we see. And we see that our app can help by eliminating this trash. And if we don't have our app, then we could possibly have more trash. So America, it makes up 4% of the global population, but generates 12% of the world's waste. And the waste that we are in particular looking at is littering. So the pieces of trash that aren't disposed of properly. So there's 152 pieces of trash per person in the US. And 90% of people have been surveyed and say that they also believe that litter is a problem in their state. So why doesn't anyone pick up the trash? You know, I've been on walks with my dog and I've also walked right past trash. And, you know, everyone doesn't have the time, doesn't have the knowledge. I can't pick up a couch from the side of the road. I'm not strong enough or even know where to take it. So that's where we would like to introduce our app, Cleaner, and it would help us clean up the streets.
So here's kind of a screenshot of what we think our app will look like. It's kind of similar to like an Uber-based app where you'll open up your phone, you'll get on the app, and it'll show you like a map near me. So to tell you like, okay, you have this trash over here, and it'll also rank that trash within like a light load, a medium load, even a heavy load. And that'll just tell you, you know, so you know what you might need to go that way and clean up. You know, it could be anything from just picking something up with your hand or like Brittany was saying, a couch. So we have two main roles here. We have reporters and cleaners. So we're gonna start with the reporters. The reporters can be anyone from business owners, HOA, state and local government, and other things like that. Essentially, they're paying for a service through like a prescription-based plan. For them, they're paying for the cleaners to come to their area, wherever that might be, to clean up. For cleaners, it can be anyone. It could even be you. So just like Brittany was saying, you know, we imagine that these cleaners are outside walking their dogs, doing anything that they might do, and they get on the app and say, hey, I want to make some extra money. The incentive for them is this compensation of anything from food, gift cards, and cash. It'll all be on a point-based system where you can check out whenever you're ready to receive your product, cash, food, etc. And local restaurants can also make donations of gift cards and things like that to encourage more people to then go to their restaurants, and they can make money as well.
So what is the incentive to invest? Well, the annual cost of U.S. litter cleanups is totaled at $11.5 billion. And here you can see a breakdown of how it is dispersed. Just in the last year in South Carolina, they were having issues scrambling to deal with increased litter and they spent $2 million a year to pay for private contractors to clean the roads. Additionally, the presence of litter in neighborhoods and communities lower property values by 7%. And so if you could hit the next animation, an app startup cost is just a fraction of the total cost. And so if you could hit the next slide, we're seeking to decentralize these institutions and keep the generated revenue in these local economies. Sorry for the noise. So this month, we've founded our company, which is a for-profit corporation. And in February of next year, we'll go live in Indianapolis. In December of 2023, we will raise 1 million in Series A funding. In June of 2024, Cleaner will expand to multiple metro areas. And in December 2025, our total valuation will be 10 million. And in January of 2026, we'll sell the company for 20 million. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There we go.
Any questions?
Good job. Good job sharing. Good job
Right.
sharing the role among all of the teammates. I always hate it when a team comes up and then one person does all the talking. So good job handing off the baton, and good job laying out the timeline and the plan. I like it a lot. So let me just make sure I understand it right. It's an app. I would go in and kind of build my profile like you do on most apps. And then I get these incentives to clean up. How do I prove that I've cleaned up, right? How does the operation, maybe I missed that.
Right. So that's kind of getting further into it. Probably should have kind of said that. When you clean something up, you'll kind of take a picture of it. So kind of like when you get a package from Amazon, how they kind of drop something off and then they say it's right here. Essentially that will happen. And then someone in our system will actually go through all those pictures and essentially okay them. So if the trash, if the cleanup was acceptable, then you're rewarded your point system prize, whatever that might be, for that general pickup.
You have people out in the field kind of verifying this and, just kind of monitoring it stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say, first of all, that I love this idea. I think it's phenomenal. And I hope that it comes to fruition. I think it's crazy awesome. What about development? Like, what are you guys thinking about in terms of, the programming? How does that feed into the expenses? And then deployment in terms of a marketing and go-to-market plan. What does that look like?
I think touching on the market plan, in my opinion, the marketing for this kind of issue is just like keeping the planet clean, and no one wants to go see trash. So I think that's like a huge basis. I think also going back to the incentives, to me, I think this is a great way just to stimulate like a small economy of, town, whatever it might be, to get people out there to eat at their own restaurants. And we were sitting here thinking of this idea, and Brittany had an app for like
oh yeah, my Park mobile app
right
pinged me that I've used it enough that I could get like 5% off at, I don't know, it was like Starbucks or something, but yeah.
Right. So then that would go back into like these small, whatever it might be, restaurants and things like that. And then kind of, going from each person to another where you get the prize and then you spend it and get back into the town or wherever you might be.
I have a couple of questions that I wrote down.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you,
everyone. What is the cost to pick up the trash? Because I know, you had a screen where you said light, heavy, like, what is that cost?
You want to talk about one?
So the price
oh yeah, do you want to?
You got it.
It'll be a subscription based. And can we go to the last?
I think she's actually asking Kapua like how much will you make in terms of like
no,
the trash?
Right. I'm assuming. So for me to get my trash picked up, or like for me to get my trash picked up, how much does it cost for the lights, the medium, the heavy? Like, how are you making money? I don't understand how the business is going to be generating.
So say for instance, like a HOA comes on and subscribes to a $5,000 plan. So they're going to be paying our company $5,000 for them to report trash, and then for someone to clean it.
So essentially, like
someone,
anyone, kind of like anyone can sign up.
Where's the trash going to?
We talked about that. We talked about like mitigating where the waste will go, and like maybe like trying to provide some type of, dumpster or something like that. Honestly, that's just kind of out of our range. We didn't want to be a waste company. We want to be more of like the means of getting the litter out. That would be just on that person to dispose of it.
How do you know
properly.
the person is not just going to go drop how do you know that it's actually going to solve the problem that you guys are trying to solve, which is for everyone to get a bit more conscious about how they're littering, right? That's how you opened up the presentation.
Right.
You want people to be a bit more conscious. But if you're saying that anyone can pick up the trash, how do you know where they're going? How does it solve the problem that you're trying to solve?
Right.
So I think we would have to develop some sort of like point where they would have to come and dump it at some specific location for us to then dispose of our company, which then would be an added cost to us. So
okay, so I want you guys to
something.
think about that, because
Yes,
in concept, it sounds good, but I'm always thinking foundationally, if you can't answer like just at base these simple things that are fundamental to how your business is going to run, you need to spend some more time thinking about that. How do you determine the size, right? So is it by weight? Are you providing a bag? For example, when I had a flood in my house, I was able to, I think, go on Amazon, and they have companies out there that provide you like, I don't know, a bag that you can put, but it's by weight. And someone will drive to my house and pick up this trash. So how are you, to me, it seems like you're requiring a lot of trust to people determining what is light. Like, how do you know if they pay for a light pickup? How do you know it's not like the heavy side of things? So again, all these little things, I think you need to spend some more time thinking of that are not just connecting for me. I'll leave those two questions for now, but
Yeah.
even the money, like 1,000 to 5,000. How did you come up with that amount?
You were thinking like, if I go back to like who the investors could be, I mean, you have different sizes for, from a small business to an HOA. So essentially, like, we will set up a plan where it's like you have X amount of, let's call them like captures of or reports of like your trash. So like if you can only say like you can only put up on the app 2 reports, let's say a week, that's all you can do. So let's say now you have the 5,000 plan. Let's say maybe it's unlimited. So yeah, those are the things that like the inner workings that we might not have all mellowed out yet, but that's kind of what we were thinking on subscription basis. You just kind of determine what size you need essentially.
I'm always thinking about, collaborations and standing on the shoulders of people who are already doing this work. And so I just sent a link about, waste circularity. There's a group that does that. So I would say that there are probably some partnerships that you can leverage that already exist. That would be smart. And then you guys had a data point on $11.5 billion for litter cleanup. I would dissect that a little bit because, that is a super big number, and what exactly does it mean? So I would say be a little bit more specific about, what that number breaks into.
Okay.
In addition, I don't think you made your ask. Did you make your ask?
we did not make our ask. I think
Oh no, yeah.
we realized that we were looking for you guys to share the app and like give us your network, because in order for this to be viable, we see that we need users and to ensure that people were actually using the app. So,
and we don't know how to code.
Yeah, that's
That's a good ask. I think you guys you've got a great starting point. That's what you should look at this as, a minimum viable product, right? Something that you can just get into the hands of your users and let them teach you where you drop off the trash and how you verify it and all that other stuff. But you've got a great starting point here. And I think that's a great answer to the ask is you need users, to help go through the experience and help you develop the product.
Right. And I think, as maybe it might not be wise to say this, but I mean, we thought about all the errors that could happen. Going back to the previous question, we had always thought what's stopping me from being a cleaner and, taking the trash and purposely planting it somewhere else and then getting that trash next week and, just making a scheme off of making, cleaning up the same trash over and over again to get, reap the benefits. So like, I mean, in that terms, there is a lot of trust involved in probably inner workings that we haven't really, kind of taken hold of yet, but definitely looking at. So thank you. Yes.
Wait, I'm still trying to struggle. Like, is the goal to solve the 12% waste, or is the goal to solve the 152 pieces of litter, or the goal is to essentially eat up a little bit of that $11.5 billion that's spent annually? Like, where's the focus?
I think our main focus was to the 152 pieces of litter, to like be able to walk outside and not see trash whenever we, are taking, like I take my dog for a walk all the time. And so that's always my example. But like, I mean, just a cleaner environment. That's why we are cleaner. But I think that is the main focus and goal of the app. And then just kind of creating a small circleized like local and economy and getting businesses interested. And because I mean,
I get
it's
it.
incentive for them.
The clarity helps because I think earlier some of the questions around like are we really solving the 12% trash problem? And it's not. Like this is really a what I would classify as a garbage removal tech company. My next question is like, do you need a double-sided marketplace? What you're proposing here is a double-sided marketplace. You have reporters and you have cleaners. For double-sided marketplace, there got to be a really clear value prop to both sides for it to really, really work. At scale, you see this with the most fit, you use Uber, there's DoorDash. There's a number of these where like the two sides of the equation can immediately get value by participating on that platform. What I don't see yet is where's the value for the people that report it? Because I can call 311. There's also plenty of garbage removal competitions that you have historically, right? I can call any other, I can Google a Yelp and just garbage removal. They'll come with their pickup truck and they'll take away the trash that I have, and I'll pay not $5,000. I pay like $100 to remove some trash. Where is the incentive for, let's say, me as the end user to not use that, but to use this app?
I think it's also kind of those dead spaces of this is kind of how the app in my mind kind of started. I walked out in the city and just walked out of a garage and walked into like kind of alleyway. It wasn't really, I wouldn't say it's anyone's land, I'm sure it's someone's land, but it wasn't like right in front of a shop or anything like that. And I immediately like stepped in like some not so pleasant things. And it's like, the city's in charge of cleaning up city limits, but it's like, who's cleaning that? So in my mind, that was immediate. Like if you did have that problem and you are a reporter, which would be the business right next door, maybe a lot of people are going through there with a lot of foot travel and no one wants that further, on the side of their business. So they go on this app and they immediately can report it. And then you have people like Brittany, what she was saying, walking her dog immediately right there. And in my mind, that was also what, like you were saying, the Uber Eats and DoorDash and stuff like that. It's kind of like that meeting Pokemon Go, like you're outside and you're on your phone and you're like, I'm already outside. Why not catch some Pokemon, or why not clean up some trash and make some extra money to then go to that same place that I just cleaned? So I guess that's kind of my answer of the incentive for both reporters and cleaners.
May I ask, how big's the class in total student count?
18.
Of the 18 students, did you ask anyone who will be willing to pick up trash?
We kind of made that like open-ended question. I mean, I think that's a valid question, but I think it's also, that's the whole point. It's like, I don't clean up trash, but I'm pretty sure I would if I got paid to do it, on my walk, the next day.
That's the incentive, Robert. They're
right.
When they pick up trash for points, that would get them a free large fry at McDonald's.
Yeah, because we can all pick up trash, but we don't. I mean, we simply do not. That's why I just went back to that story where I walked out and there's trash right at my foot.
I don't know if the incentive is high enough. Like, how many points do you need? How many McDonald's do you need? Do you want one McDonald's per trash? Or do you
Right.
have to
Yeah.
pick up like a week's worth of McDonald's for
Right.
one McDonald's? Like
And-
where's the threshold?
That's probably
Uh,
something we need to get into more, but it's
fascinating
I kind of
subject.
see it similar to like, I mean, do you see those people who go around and pick up the scooters and charge them? Like, I mean, how much are the, like, I don't know how much those people are making, but like they pick up like the truckload of scooters. So it could be something like that where it's like, yeah, there's going to be a few people who just kind of do this sometimes and will get a large fry once a year. But there could be the people who really like
Right.
go all in and
rack up the points.
rack
and
up
then
all the points. And
once they check out, they might check out with, you know, two $50 gift cards to 2 separate restaurants. And
Robert, remember Foursquare? The trouble people would go to just to be the mayor of the coffee shop. I mean, they check in 100 times.
That's
Just-
what I was gonna say is that I would do it. I mean, I don't need the money and I would still do it just for a little incentive.
and it's good to clean up the earth.
that too.
Super fascinating. Like I said, I think the idea is really, really fascinating. I am really interested in like the unit economics. I think Foursquare, DoorDash, Lime, the scooter company, these are all big companies. But
Mhm.
Belani will love your thoughts on this because they're all net negative loss companies. They don't net out at all as
That's
a
where we need your
business
help.
model. And these are businesses that have been around for the last 10 years and they still haven't been able to prove that they're a sustainable business.
Right.
Mhm.
Now that I've seen, as an investor, I've seen this type of business emerge, I'm hesitant that more businesses like this will come after because we haven't been able to prove that these business models work. They are all cost centers and they don't make profits at all. They all have scaling issues and their unit economics are total poo-poo. I'm still trying to pull my inner Mr. Wonderful. They don't make sense on a unit economics model. And
Is Airbnb included there?
Airbnb makes a lot of their money on an arbitrage model, which I don't think a lot of the people know.
Yeah.
What Airbnb makes a lot of the money is they take your deposit that you have to put on a reserve before they have to give it out because you haven't, the guest hasn't moved in yet. And they essentially float that cash and it's a ton of cash and it's guaranteed win because like the interest rates only go up, especially in today's time. So they actually make really small margins in terms of the actual service they provide. They make all of their money on arbitraging the dollars that they sit on in terms of your deposits.
So I guess I have a question to that. We had thought about what if we charge cleaners, so everyday users, the walkers, whatever, a subscription base to the app. We kind of felt that was an immediate no because we like the idea of like it's so much more incentive if it's free, and you're getting something. But I guess what are your thoughts about that? Making the cleaners have to do a subscription of $5 a month or something like that.
I don't know. Like I would never pay,
No.
nor would I ever clean.
Well, I'm asking. Sorry.
And my number one concern is we still don't solve a trash problem. Right? Like, yes, there's trash, but like we're just removing it out of sight, out of mind. I have a problem with like it's not fundamentally solving the problem other than it's out of sight, out of mind. I would really like to know like, well, are we going to solve a recycling problem very differently? Or we're going to solve like a removal problem very differently because of this? Is there a bigger vision here that like we have a little bit more of that and we can sort and filter a lot better than, let's say, city-run trash removal companies? We can definitely make a larger impact on the world. But that's what I would have liked to hear from a pitch perspective, that this is our first stage one. This is our beachhead. With the data that we can collect, then we can absolutely start to have massive impacts on how do we actually remove and decompose trash. But we first have to collect it and we first have to understand how to sort it. And we're going to use a human labor that is already accessible to jumpstart the business.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll give some thoughts around Robert's last line, right? So when I'm thinking about the app, I'm going into New York City. I'm thinking about the folks already. So there are people in New York who are going around picking up like cans cans. And I'm not asking you to deviate from your model, right? But I was like, what if this app niched down a little bit to some way help these folks who are going around picking up this trash already, right? So that's like labor that's already there. Maybe if they can go on the app and see where they can get all these recyclable things that they're picking around the city, rather than just any trash, maybe it clicks a bit more for me, because there are people already doing this. They're taking that trash and they're taking it somewhere. I still have a problem with the out of sight, out of mind, because I
understand.
So maybe you're helping to solve that problem, right? Because there are businesses that want their recyclable items taken. There are these folks who are on the streets already picking up empty cans, right? They're picking up empty soda cans, whatever the case is. You always see them. I don't know if you guys know this image I'm talking about, but they're always walking. Maybe you're solving it way where they can pick up those trashes faster, and then you expand out. I can see that happening in big cities. But yeah, I love your name. I love the name Cleaner. So that's a good start. That's a good start. All right.
Thank you guys for all the feedback.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So this is Blossom, your personal guide for overcoming social anxiety. If you're not familiar with what social anxiety does to a person, I just want to take a second and have you read through some of these quotes. So there are about 15 million people in the US who struggle with this. And if you have social anxiety, you physically can't, like your brain doesn't let you, you can't go out and form friendships, relationships, professional connections, things that will lead to things as important and vital as getting a job. In more serious cases, it leads to things like depression. If you have social anxiety, it's really just another way of saying that you're missing out on life. There are solutions for it. Here are a few of them, but they're often either way too expensive, or, the information is questionable, or it's confusing. It's hard to get started for someone with social anxiety in particular, because you might have to talk to someone like a therapist or coach of some kind. And this is why Blossom exists, a standalone cognitive behavioral therapy based app for overcoming social anxiety. And if you don't know, cognitive behavioral therapy is largely accepted as the most effective treatment for social anxiety. So here's just a quick look at how it will work. The first thing that happens after you sign up is you take an assessment that tells us which social situations you want to focus on. And then we help you figure out how to shift your thinking. That's a process called cognitive restructuring. Basically, it's just helping you combat social anxiety on the cognitive level. And then we move into exposures, which is where you'll really start noticing a difference. This is facing your fears in the real world. And then we help you use cognitive restructuring to combat the anxiety as it arises. And then it's getting cut off here a little bit, but we'll help you track your progress and stay motivated.
So good evening. I'm sorry, my partner set the camera too high. That's what tall people do, but I'm here. So our app Blossom allows people with social anxiety to alter their thought patterns and face their fears in bite-sized chunks, and making it simple, affordable, and uplifting to break anxiety's hold. So we are asking from you tonight, first is introductions to motivated and skilled people who can help us, such as licensed therapists, marketing experts, programmers, lawyers, and anyone basically who can help offer helps to us. Also, we are also asking from $5,000 to $10,000 to get this program running. Here is our timeline. So for January 2023, the beta testing minimum will be provided to public. April 2023, initial launch membership at $5 per month on the app. July 2023, professionals will be involved and it will be more development to the app. By the end of 2023, 500 paid users, approximately 30,000 per year. By the end of 2024, we are hoping to get our second founding round for new features, and the membership cost will be $15 a month. By the end of 2026, 100,000 paid users. It's approximately 9 million per year. Sometimes early 2027, we're looking to partner with larger mental health networks. It will be approximately $40 million per year. In 2035, we're wishing to compressing 5% of global anxiety treatments. And that will be our presentation for tonight. Questions? Also, I'm Winnie. This is Hunter. We were very into the previous presentation and got a little bit nervous to introduce ourselves. And as for now, we already have the structure of this app. So it's it's already an working app. You can find us on the website. And so we're gradually developing.
So this is Todd. There's no question anxiety is a huge issue today, right? And a major market problem that there's all kinds of resources around trying to address. Can you tell us a little bit about, at least, and maybe I missed it, it felt like you kind of glossed over the how it works section. So I get that it's an app. I get that it's trying to help us deal with social anxiety issues. I heard the bite-sized chunks proposition, but I'm a little confused about you can't just go invent an app and it's going to solve social anxiety, right? So what is it about this method that you think would be effective? Why did you choose this approach? Is there a body of research that you're basing this on, or some hypothesis that you're taking advantage of? Does that make sense? I'm trying to get away from so you're anxious, so we'll just make you not anxious. Just use our app. What's the backstory? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this started with a little bit of research. So what is currently the working method for overcoming social anxiety? And that it's pretty much in every paper I read that cognitive behavioral therapy is how you do it. And there are two main parts of that: cognitive restructuring and exposures. Cognitive restructuring is more about recognizing the thoughts that are causing social anxiety and then changing how you react to them. And then exposures, once you're armed with cognitive restructuring, you take that into these exposures, which, if you don't know, it's just slowly, gradually entering the situations that make you anxious, and then using these new tools you have in your skill set to cope with them in different, more healthy ways. And so what the app does, it guides you through how to do that. So we will teach you with exercises and readings how to do cognitive restructuring. And then once you're ready, once you've made it through that section of the app, we will use what you told us that makes you anxious and give you tailored exposures throughout and complete. And we'll help you use cognitive restructuring when you're going out. You'll probably get a brief about the specific exposure you're about to do, and then a debrief afterwards. And it will encourage you and help you, it'll walk you through how to use these skills.
And also,
Okay, that's helpful.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's helpful. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, so all the methods and steps we provide in the app will be consulted through a licensed therapist. So everything will be legit and providing real help to people, whoever needs that.
I want to applaud the group. I really love the last slide. I think it's one of the more thoughtful approaches in terms of how the business scales over time. And it sets out major milestones that you're trying to strive for. And I want to make sure that, like, I know I'm Mr. Wonderful in this conversation. I'm trying to do my best to say, good job here. Like setting out at least clarity in terms of like how the business is going to evolve, how it's going to grow, and what are the major milestones you think the business has to hit as it goes through this year and all the way to the next 5 years, or many years. I think all the way up to 2035. So really, really good job there. I like the fact that you also you ended with like, with or without your help, product is being developed. You're going with or without this fundraising. It gives the pitch a lot more authority or power. We're like, yes, I'm talking to sharks, but you want to bite, you don't want to bite, your call. We're still motivated to building this business, and you're still motivated to solving a massive problem with or without the help of money. And I really love the attitude and the approach there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise, I really enjoyed your presentation. What I liked also was the thoughtfulness on also like telling us who your competitors are, like actually listing it out. So that means, you know, you've gone to see how you can uniquely position yourself in this very large market. Can you go up a couple of slides? I think it was before slide 6. I think, you know, again, maybe spending a little bit more time on the how will help. And I think Winnie, you clarified that, because my question immediately once I saw this slide was, when I go in to enter, how do I know that the information that's coming back out is either, you know, is from a legitimate source? And I think you said you're going to try to get some therapists in there. Is there like AI, you know, could I be like in this meeting now feeling a bit of social anxiety? I'm like, I need to go into my Blossom app. Like, what is the back end coding that helps tailor towards me? You know, how does that, maybe you could spend a little bit more time just giving us an example of what this side of things looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. For right now, no, there's no AI. I mean, not in the sense that you would normally think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not going to be any person or robot on the other side talking to you. It's more of an algorithm.
Okay. So is the algorithm collecting things I have personally entered, or like, you know, from the pool of folks, then it then tailors it based on, I'm about to walk into a Shark Tank, I'm having some anxiety. So how, you know, what, you know, how does it do that part?
Yeah. There is a scale called the Leibowitz Social Anxiety Scale that has 24 very common social phobias on it. I was not able to use it because it's copyrighted, but I derived something similar. And so we have those, I have 20 of them now, situations, and you choose which ones you want to work on. And then
Got it.
Based on which one you choose, you get different tasks.
And also we have thought about like a emergency button. So if you are really feeling like anxiety and sweating and about to like pass out, and then you hit that button, it might play music, play video, or whatever your choice is, and that will calm you down, and it will be part of the app, like use of the app.
Great.
I like it. I see a lot of potential. Like you might be able to even get ahead of things if you start to integrate with smart watches or smart body tech, where they're already monitoring your heart rate and other, let's say, biometric levels in terms of like might be leading indicators of either a health problem or a stress problem, and try to get ahead of social anxiety. I imagine a lot of people have it. I also can imagine that a lot of people don't even know that they're in it before, and to be smart enough to be like, I'm in a social anxiety moment, and I should go to my app, but if I don't know it, the problem there is if I don't know it, I don't go to the app. And I think trying to get ahead of that would be extraordinarily smart to see if there's a creative way of doing so.
Yes, and I think that's leads to our goal to have a connected network with larger hospital and like mental health like network.
Yeah.
I also like your ask because it was very detailed, right? You know you're going to need some legal help. You know you need UX designers. The money to help them money to pay them. So who is it them? The folks that you're hiring?
Yeah.
The programmers and lawyers and marketing experts and
at the very beginning, I don't think we will have enough to hire everyone. So the range we give out here is most likely a majority of that will goes to the consultation fee with the licensed therapist to set up the steps and legit method to have the app running, and as well as the app maintenance fee and legal consultant. And after that, after everything gets on track and running, then we'll consider to hire more people who are skilled and like better in all the fields. Yes.
What percentage do you want? Are you offering the sharks? 0, 10, 20?
What's a good percentage?
100%. 100%. You need to come up with the percentage of how much of your company you're willing to let go for now. Okay.
Yeah, I would argue that with a little tweak, this group would be really good entrepreneurs because all they have to say is we're gonna let the market decide, and actually let all the sharks compete with ourselves in terms of who's gonna want what. At least that's what I would have done in terms of like, well, let the market decide what the valuation is and what the take rate is. But to know that, where I think the presentation fell a little short, I think Bolani was getting to was it would be really helpful to go line by line of what is your minimal viable need. You gave a list here, but like what I heard is you don't need everyone at first go. You need maybe the expert and you might need a lawyer. I would like to see a projection of what that might cost the business. And if you add it all up, that should give you a number. Like if it's 10,000 each, then that's like 3 people. You need a minimum of 30,000. You can present yourselves like, hey, we're raising 30,000 today. And we're going to let the market decide the valuation of the business. But we as sharks know that the need is 30,000 and we can argue over each other of how to peg the valuation of the business. And then, but you know, the sharks will have a lot of fun in terms of like, 1 million, 500,000, and we can figure out how much of the percentage 30K is worth. Really, really good job. I'm really excited to have ended on this. I am so sorry that to everyone in the class that I cannot stay the whole time. I did not clear my entire schedule. But really good job the first 3 presentations. I'm really proud of everyone. I know I was being intentionally a tough critic, so I hope everyone doesn't mind.
Thank you,
Doug,
Robert.
thanks
We
for having
really
me.
appreciate you. Thanks for all of your feedback.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See you, Robert.
We'll see you on the real Shark Tank soon.
That will be fun. I can't wait.
Hello, my name is Andre King, and I wanted to introduce my potential product, the Quicker Sniffer. So, how many dog owners do we have here tonight? Raise your hands. Awesome, awesome. Now, did you guys know that you could be hurting your dog more than helping your dog with current ways of training? Approximately 44% of U.S. households have a furry family member, or a canine family member, I'm sorry, because they could also have felines or other furry. And that's approximately 78 million dogs. So according to PETA, the use of choke collars and has been associated with whiplash, fainting, even as severe as crushing of the dog's larynx. And these are common ways to train your dog. As most of us know, if you had a dog from a puppy, when you go to teach it to walk on a leash, or even just teach it to sit, or any of the normal commands that you would teach your dog, you use that collar as a means of corrective measures. Let's see here. Other typical training methods would be the positive reinforcement using edible snacks, electronic collars, shock collars, choke collars, prong collars, and the bottom two, scientific and relationship-based training. Now, as I stated, the problem with some of these training methods is that it can harm your dog. So it can hinder your dog, his life, or his or her lifespan. So we're going to focus on a scientific and relationship-based training using the dog's sense of smell. Now, normally the dog's sense of smell has only been used for tracking, for hunters or for law enforcement, things of that nature. But did you know that a dog can smell as far as away as 20 kilometers? So that's quite a ways. That's, to put it in American terms, is around 12 and a half miles. So scientists believe that dogs can smell 10,000 to 100,000 times more acute than humans. And that's phenomenal. So why wouldn't we use that? So you're probably wondering, how could we use that? Well, the Quicker Sniffer is a training aid that replaces corrective collars. So what it does, it has valves that contain the scent of a person via a perfume or oil type base. And then it has emitters that are right below the dog's nose, sense of smell. So the dog wears the collar and the emitters are activated by remote control, whether it be an app on the phone or a handheld remote that comes with the collar. So it's a tool for progressive training. So when you have a puppy and you bring him home, the puppy usually whimpers for about a week or so, right? Because it's missing the scent of its mother. And so what we're doing is we're replacing that scent with our scent, which normally you do that anyway. You would take like a piece of clothing or something like that and you put it with the dog. Well, this takes that to another level. So basically it instills that scent in the dog, so the dog doesn't want to be far away from you, and it looks at that scent as a positive reinforcement. So basically what I'm looking for from the Sharks is nationwide distribution. And what I'm willing to offer is 20% stake in the company. Now, we can also look at manufacturing. And if I can get manufacturing, then that stake goes up to 70% of the company. So thank you very much for listening. And now I'd like to open the floor up for questions.
Thank you. My first question is just like product development. Where would it be manufactured? How would it be manufactured? What are some of those key parts of the product development?
Okay, so the collars would be manufactured as standard collars, and the material for the collar would range between $6 and $8 per unit, and that would include the glass valve construction, but the scents would be imported. There's actually a company that has started to do perfumes and oils based on a person's scent. So they were really developed for people that wanted to be reminded of their lost loved ones. So they would take their garments or their pillowcases or whatever that was, and they would extract the smell and they would create a perfume from it. And I would utilize that company and try to network with that company to provide a subscription service for those, so that people could order those vials for their pets. And then in the event that they would run low, they could reorder from the same company based on that service.
How would you sell through? Like, would you go through retailers or?
Yes, I would sell through traditional pet companies, any mom and pop pet stores, PetSmarts, Petco's, Walmarts, big chain stores, anywhere like that. And then the collar would actually come with information on how to get the oils or perfumes for your individual self.
And how about testing on the animals? Like how have you done, or how are you thinking about doing that research and the effectiveness of those?
I really didn't think about testing on the animals yet. That's probably something I overlooked. I should have thought about that. Yes, we would definitely have to run through beta processing and do testing to make sure that the oils and perfumes weren't harmful to the pets. The same way that a regular perfume would be tested to make sure that it wasn't harmful for the consumer.
Do you have any comments? Then I could go. Andre, good job.
Yes.
You got us at the start with the question, so you had us engaged. I think any product that has to do with pets and kids is always a good idea because people always have pets. I was with you up to identifying your problem, right? Like it was very clear what the problem that you're trying to solve. Where I got, I guess, maybe a little bit lost is in the solution in terms of the scents. Because what I thought I heard you say was you were going to put the owner's scent in the collar.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about my home, right? There are 4 of us. It's my husband, myself, and my 2 kids. And then we brought in our new dog, when he was 8 weeks old. How are you using the scent to help train? How is it? What is the reward for the dog? So like that's, I'm not too clear on how it helps in the training process. So if you can clarify that for me, what that scenario looks like.
Yes. Well, even though there are multiple people inside the house, dogs are pack animals. So there's always going to be an alpha. So the person that is the alpha for that pet, that's who the pet would be with the most. Like with my family, there are 5 of us, but each one of my sons, they're also with me when I train the dog. So the dog would gravitate to me, and then the dog would know his pack order in the house. So as far as the scent, it would be the scent of the person that was considered the alpha in the household.
So again, so that part you've answered. So how does the scent factor into the training? How is the dog rewarded, right? Because the whole point of a choke collar, even though we don't choke collar, even though we don't like it, is to correct a behavior, right? Through either like a pinch or you treat.
I'm sorry.
The
scent would be more of a positive reinforcement, as would like a little snack or something like that you would give the dog for that type of training. So for clicker training, you use the clicker, that's the positive reinforcement. And in order to get the dog to do something, you have to have the clicker on you, basically. And the same with edible training, you would have to have a snack or something until you phase it out. The smell would eventually be phased out, but it would be something to strengthen the dog's relationship with its owners, not just the alpha owner, but everybody that's in the house in the order.
Why doesn't the dog just do its regular sniffing that it already does? Like, because they're already getting our scents, right? That's what the dog does every single day. My dog is always, excuse my French, but is always like sniffing someone or
I
anyone,
definitely agree.
you know, so I'm not.
Well, that's why I thought
I
about
want
it,
you to-
because the scent would be more concentrated. So it'd be more of what the dog was looking for. Like I stated earlier, the dog's sense of smell is 10,000 to 100,000 times more. So the scent that it's receiving would be intensified to the fact that it would be more perceived as more of a reward for the dog.
Got it. Got it. And then you said from a cost perspective, you said it's going to range, production is $6 to $8 a cost for the collar. So then how much is it going to cost in market?
I'm looking at a price of $20 per collar. And that's a good market price because I have 2 dogs and I price collars normally. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Nick, and my partners are Alan and Shabnam, and we are Contagious. And we are asking for $600,000 for 45% of our software company that is disrupting the gaming industry using the latest AI technology. Look at this image. This image is incredible. This image was created by using words as input into the latest AI software to create this image. Imagine being in this image, imagine being in this space, 3D, this digital world. Imagine exploring this 3D digital world without limitations. That's where the gaming industry is today, with limitations. At some point, the gaming industry has to stop building these worlds in order to release the game. The gaming industry, they spend years developing the next game, using hundreds of software engineers and designers, modeling all the roads and the buildings and all the details that make it feel so real. And that's what our AI technology takes advantage of. Words that create images, and more recently, words that create 3D models. And now, I hope you all brought your umbrellas, because Shabnam's going to rain some cold, hard facts down on you.
Okay, so you must be wondering if this problem even exists. So we have some proofs for you guys. And our first proof is here. This is the graph of Meta, the stock market graph, and you can see how volatile it is. This is because they're always experimenting things because they can afford to fail. And this is one of the problems in the gaming industry, is that there's never a guarantee of success. The next example I want to show is these 2 games. The first one is the Grand Theft Auto. This game took 5 years to build, and there were about 250 employees that were involved in it, and they spent about $150 million. So that's a lot of time and resources that they were having to put into this game. And on the other hand, there's this other game called Star Wars: The Old Republic. This game took even longer, took 6 years to build, and 800 people worked on it from 4 different continents, and they spent $200 million. But this game was a flop. It barely broke even. So we have more than one problem here. The amount of time and effort that goes into this industry, and there's no real guarantee of success. And with that, I want to introduce you to the third problem in this industry, which is not being able to retain the users. This graph right here is Fortnite. You can see normally there's 2 million users on average, but every time they have an update, there's like a spike of 20 million, and then it goes back down after a few months. So this is like a real problem of not being able to retain the users. And with that, I want to pass to Alan, who will tell more about Contagious.
But like, what is this? Like, what is our product? We offer a tool where clients can optimize their workflow to deliver games faster than ever, saving time and money. Our platform develops 3D models of houses, buildings, or anything architectural related to feel unique and breathtaking online environments, and all using language inputs, just as we can see in this beautiful picture. For an example, if a game needs an entire city in the style of Zaha Hadid, or maybe even a little dash of Italian futurism, yes, with this app, you can do that. At Contagious, you are in the driver's seat. We are the only company that can offer a way to engage and react to the market in real time. And our most competitive advantage will be the speed of iteration and the ability to control the power of engagement aligned with user experience. We are seeking 5% of a game's revenue, as we're predicting to have a symbiotic relationship with the gaming industry. So together we can offer the best gaming experience ever. So sharks, which one of you is ready to invest in the future of the gaming industry? Thank you.
So this is Todd. I'll just start it off just to make sure I understand this correctly, because I'm certainly not on the cutting edge of technology. You have an AI product that you are able to sell the use of this product to a gaming development company so that they can develop their product much faster. Is that accurate? So I know it's overly simplified, but is that the basic gist of it? And so this works. I mean, is this something that, you know, is this hypothetical? I mean, and why wouldn't you know, EA come in, and why don't they have this already? And these massive gaming enterprises that are multi-billion-dollar companies, what's preventing them from having this already?
That's a great question. Compute power, the AI software, and the data. Data is probably equally as important as the compute power for the deep neural nets and artificial intelligence. That's why we need the funding.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not sure if you answered Todd's question, right? So I think Todd was saying, how do we know that there isn't a company right now already doing this and doing it in real time? Because what I heard you say is, and I apologize, Shabnam,
yes,
you were the second person to go. Shabnam said that, you know, some of those games, it took people 5 years or, you know, 5 to 7 years to develop. And what it's sounding like to me is you're saying it's going to take us, it's going to be developed in real time. Like, what does that mean? Is it 1 year? Is it immediate? Is it real time? Like,
it'll be real.
And
also, there's two different ways a gaming company can approach this. One is they can have faster iterations. Each time if they fail a game, they can release a new update like instantly, or they can even have the gamers develop their own game, which is what Alan means with real time. As they're playing, the game develops itself, and it's more personal to the gamer.
And I think having a more specific approach for Todd's question, this is a reality for pictures. So for 2D images, we are definitely able to get that today. And we are trying to take that into, you know, even further into 3D models and create 3D environments. So technology is right now is not all the way there. That's why we are trying to push that even further.
so what is the, you've put your ask, but like, what does, from a financial perspective, like, is this, again, what is the model? What is the business model for outside of the fight? Because I know you mentioned you're going to have the gaming industry give 5%, right? If they use it, like, is that the revenue model that's set? Or what are you projecting to bring in the first year? Where do you see this going? Do you want to sell the company? Do you want somebody larger to buy you out? Is this something that you want to stick with? What does that model look like?
That's a really great question. We don't have an exact answer for that, but we, like I mentioned, we are really thinking about having a symbiotic relationship with games. So because they want to grow, they want more users, therefore they're going to need our software to react to the market faster. So the more money they are making, the more money they are seeking to make, we'll be able to make money as well. It is hard, I would say, for us to predict right now how much we are thinking about, in a revenue perspective. We do need to have more thinking about that.
And then can you again just clarify for me, because I know, Shabna, I'm sorry, I keep coming back to you because I think you spoke a bit about this, but I heard you say there are 3 problems, but I got lost because essentially, are you trying to solve the time problem, the iteration problem? What were the other 2 problems, and how does that roll into the final solution? Because when you started out the presentation, you had said a game ends. I think I wrote that. So are you saying that I could be in this gaming world and it never ends and it's without boundaries? So can you clarify that for me?
So the 3 problems were, the first one being there's no guarantee of success in mostly all the gaming industry. And then the second one is there's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to build this 3D worlds. And then the third one being they can't retain the users because the users get bored easily and then they just stop playing the games. So this software is helping the gaming company address all 3 problems. First is with faster iterations, there's no such thing as failure because they're able to put another update as soon as they know that this is not working. Or and the same way they're able to address the other 2 problems. Like it doesn't take so much time because this is being done by AI. And then that's how they also retain the users. So all 3 problems are being addressed because of using artificial intelligence.
Thanks for the clarification.
I think the key of what I heard in there is that the technology isn't even there for you guys to offer this. So when is that technology available? What's your timeline and the scope of that?
Yes, that is another great question. We are studying as of right now how to get that possible. Following, for an example, what is able to get done today with 2D images, for an example. It is necessary for a company or a developer to have a database of several images. So as of right now, we're looking for the investment to be able to build our database. And online, actually, right now, we're able to get several, probably millions of models already. But as we develop this idea, we would have to get more specific with the specific like architecture models. So that will create the very base of an AI technology to start being more accurate for our models development.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the sharks?
Not for me.
So
Thank
many.
you guys.
I have one last one because Nick, Alan.
Yes.
Nick, last person that spoke, sorry, with glass. Oh, both of you are wearing glasses. You, right? Is it Nick or Alan? Sorry.
Okay.
Are you only putting in architectural models in? Is that the focus?
Correct.
You started out with all the.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are you only putting in buildings, structures in the games? Is that what you're solving for?
We're thinking everything.
Okay, so you need to clarify that too, because I know you started off with that amazing picture. A lot of your images were of structures, but now you're saying you're going to be modeling everything in there. So that's pretty vast, wide, so I think maybe find a way to just include that a bit better in your presentation or in how you talk about your product. Because for the last moment, I thought, okay, maybe I didn't fully understand that it was covering everything, and it was just architecture pieces within the games.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, we can see the reimagining US gas station slide right now.
Perfect. Well, now you should be looking at our friend Sam Insel. So for those of you who aren't aware, I know many people in this room have heard it a couple of times, but Sam Insel, our Joey and I's good friend, he was a business tycoon in the mid to late 1920s. And at the height of his power, he was in charge of a holding company with an estimated buying power in today's money of about $8.5 billion. However, less than a decade later, he died with just pennies in his pocket. And there were many contributing factors to Sam's misfortune. One of them was a genetic heart condition, but another was the Model T. The reason that this happened was because Sam's major holdings, his company's major holdings, were mostly tied up in the railroad and other rail infrastructure. So when Henry Ford in 1928 had his best-selling year of the Model T, and America got behind the wheel and the railroad was abandoned, Sam and his fortune were left in the dust by just something that he did not see coming. So you may be wondering why it is that we're talking about this today. And the reason that we're telling you about this is because we're sitting on a really similar rift in society today. And I'm gonna turn it over to Joey to kind of explain more of that to you.
So what we're beginning to see is a projection towards the end of gas-powered vehicles, especially in the year of 2040. We will begin to see that the electric vehicles will overtake the gas-powered vehicles on the road. Now, what that means is we will begin to see a decline, obviously, but then we have a proposing question: what does that mean for the gas station? Well, for the gas station, we've identified three types: highway, urban, and suburban. Now, we all know that gas stations do not make their money off of the gas, but rather the gas is the draw to the convenience, which then the convenience is how they make their money. So with the highway, they are located next to the, like I said, the highway, and they mainly will stay prevalent because the electric vehicles will not be able to maintain the range. So the gas-powered vehicles will have a precedence over the highway. With the urban gas stations make most of their money off of foot traffic. But then we get to this specific category, the suburban, where it's too far away from the city for foot traffic, and it's too far away from the highway to bring in customers. And so with that, we've taken a case study. This is located north of Indianapolis. The blue area is downtown Zionsville. And located within the yellow square is about a 30 square mile radius. And we can see that there is 10 gas stations within this area that are going to feel that effect of the switch to EV. And so what does that mean?
And so Resolute Market Solutions is in the business of relationships. What we're looking to do is successfully marry businesses that are currently at risk of losing their primary draw with flagship franchises looking to expand. Where we are coming in is developing and injecting these new programs into the existing businesses at risk to continue to allow them to flourish and maintain an inflow of customers. So the primary means in which we're looking at doing this are with programs such as restaurants, gyms, coffee shops, and office spaces. These just being some of the programs that we think present an awesome opportunity to not compete so much with the existing convenience store business that provides the primary income for these businesses at risk, but it will efficiently replace the necessary draw to get people in the door in the first place. So just an example of kind of how this starts to work out, and the way I'll paint this picture for you isn't just looking at what I would consider to be your average gas station, which is a couple pumps in a small enclosed convenience store area. The picture on the right, though, is the other picture is put out by Gensler, actually, in their partnership with Reebok, as they're beginning to explore, much like we are, the opportunity of converting gas stations into gyms. And what you're seeing in this picture is just kind of how they're imagining the structures differently. It allows the building to remain, and many opportunities for the business owners to continue to succeed, but without the necessity of gas as that funneling feature to bring business in the door. So that's just kind of an overarching idea and understanding of the issue that we're planning to address. But I'm going to let Joey explain to you kind of the actual business specifics of how we plan to respond to this issue.
And so going with that, we are planning on working with the existing businesses, and I will define an existing business as those existing gas stations. We are planning on doing a 50-50 investment with those gas stations for startup and renovation costs. We will be bringing in that new franchise, which then mixed with the existing business and the franchise, we will then be able to work and promote and bring in for that. Be able to bring in that new motive for people to use their business, and utilizing this franchise is how we will gain our profit. And so going from our profit, we will be using a $200,000 startup, which the average of 150 annual return. And so for that personally, for us, we will be then bringing in a $75,000 annual profit. And so the ask.
So we are asking for ARCH's $1 million investment in return for 40% ownership of the company. $1 million may seem like an arbitrary value, but it's not. As Joey was just talking about, and what we expect to be on average, based on just our research, a $200,000 startup fee matched 50-50 with the existing business owners means that we're putting up $100,000 for every startup initiative. So for $1 million, that gives us the opportunity to begin our first 10 businesses and inject our first 10 franchises. So with 40% ownership, and we're looking at getting our portion of those franchises would be $75,000 annually per franchise. Your 40% ownership equates to $300,000 annually. So if you're following the math on that, you're getting about a 5-year return on your investment, including giving us a year to get things off the road and get the ball rolling. So this is kind of the factoring that we've done based off of the 10 original startups, the 10 base businesses that we've identified in that northern Indianapolis area. But the question you guys probably are having is like, how far does this go? What is the scale of this problem? And Joey's got a pretty awesome diagram for you.
And so looking at this, we can see in the blue square, that's our 30 square mile radius. And if you look at it, just expanding outwards from the inner city, we can see that there's a potential for a lot of investments and a lot of gas station. And so we have a question for you, Sharks, is how far do you guys want to take this?
So guys, I want to thank you for your interest and for hearing us out tonight. And I guess with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
So well done, you guys. I think there was a lot of great information there and pretty well thought out. What about the expenses that are involved in the development, subcontractors, labor, everything, all of the services and products that's involved?
Okay, it's a reason. So I think your question is, what is the cost of getting those businesses off the ground, really, and getting them to a point where we're able to develop profit?
And then supporting them. Yeah, sorry, exactly.
Yeah. So the bulk of our research has been on a series of averages and trying to understand, what are franchise locations. We've done a lot of research in the franchise McDonald's. We've looked into blanking, Planet Fitness, shared office spaces, in different businesses and how they start up and then and get their returns, and primarily looking at fast food businesses. Depending, they vary based on the specifics of the franchise, but on average, you're looking at about $200,000 fee, not including the real estate value. And so the real estate value is usually the big kicker in getting that off the ground. And so our thought is, in coming into the business, we are essentially eliminating the real estate fee by partnering with existing businesses who are going to be benefiting from this development as well. So where the businesses are probably looking to bring something in to replace the draw of gas, we're also looking at injecting a business and receiving that real estate opportunity. So by eliminating that real estate aspect of things, we're able to really knock down the cost of developing and starting up these businesses, and have a pretty affordable renovation and startup cost for each individual case for the renovations.
Fantastic job, both of you, Duncan, Joey. I really loved the layout. I think you did a good job clearly stating what the problem you're trying to solve was. I also liked that it was like in the near future, right? So the graph that you had that showed, I don't know, what was it, like 2040?
Mm-hmm.
You'd said that like that's like now, right? You know, so you're solving a very near future problem. So kudos for being able to think about this. I have two questions right now. And it goes back to the franchise section of it, right? So you had said, you had identified, I think, highways, urban, suburban. How are you going to determine based on area, which franchise you bring to that area, right? Because I think when you had given some examples about like McDonald's, Planet Fitness, like I'm not going to go to a Planet Fitness on the highway, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I want to go to the gym, it needs to be like close to me, right? It has to be in the urban area. So I don't know if you spend some time thinking about like how do you value proposition the franchise that you're bringing into the gas station? So that's one question. How do you also guarantee that you don't get cut out, right? Why wouldn't a McDonald's just go straight to the gas station and say, hey, you know, we don't need to pay like this relationship fee. I'm just gonna buy out 20 of your gas station, you know, of the gas stations that are available.
No, and I think those are really those are real questions. So your first question was kind of an understanding the breakdown between the three different types of gas stations, understanding where we've kind of dubbed them the highway gas stations, the urban gas stations, and the suburban gas stations. And that's what Joey was explaining, kind of, in that the suburban gas stations, for many reasons, are going to be the ones that we will primarily focus on. It's not to say that.
Got it. I think I missed that.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's not to say that it's the only place that we're going to receive our business, but because the technology, quite frankly, isn't there yet with electric vehicles for cross-country and long-distance travel. As technology advances, that highway dependency will the business opportunity for gas along the highways will go away inevitably with the continuation of technology evolution. But right now, it's just not there. So the highway gas stations are going to continue to be able to rely on gas as their primary business focus. The urban gas stations already rely heavily on foot traffic. So getting people in the door, just walking from their house to get their Polar Pop, whatever it may be. I'm a sucker for the hot dogs. I love a hot dog on a roller. But they're probably going to continue to do just more of the same thing. So those gas stations, not to say that we'll never see business there, but they're not going to be as highly dependent. It's those suburban gas stations that kind of fall in the middle. Nobody's walking to them. They're not conveniently spaced to receive foot traffic, but they're also not conveniently located by highways to take advantage of long distance travel. They also typically fall into more affluent areas, which are going to be the quickest to pick up on the EV train. And so focusing on, for many reasons, that suburban area is going to be who's going to feel the biggest brunt hit of this. And so that's where we're trying to focus our business and understanding what the dynamic is of those types of gas stations. And it's going to be a case-by-case evaluation and understanding what franchise fits best within the local demographic. And that's, I mean, it's not just an idea and we all get to sit back and profit off of it. That's where the work goes in. But with that, I think that we have a pretty good grip and understanding of where the business is going to be, and then just having to do more specific and individualized research on that. And I kind of rambled and I forgot what your second
no,
question
it's okay.
is.
My second question is, how do you ensure you don't get cut out of the deal?
Well, the reason we are partnering with the existing businesses is because we don't want a McDonald's to just buy out all the land. We have realized, and we've done some research, that they have prime real estate, and that those gas station owners, that's their livelihood for some of them, not for all of them, but for some of them. And so we don't want them to feel like, oh, you have to sell your property and that's it, then you're just done. We want to work with them. So it's like a generational business investment. And then Duncan also had a great point that we had spoken with a previous architect about this issue.
So in our research, we were able to have just some conversations with professionals, and one in which our professor put us in touch with Nicole Lenham at KE Design. I just want to give her credit, but she has been doing work mostly in the Southwest. And one example that she kind of gave that, and I really thought it was cool, is it's called El Gordo Mexican Restaurant. Which it sounds like just any generic Mexican restaurant that could be in any small town. However, it started off that way. It was a one location, one-stop shop. And as gas stations in their area began to look to the future and try to innovate and do exactly what it is that we're proposing, this one-stop shop gas station became a chain where they now have 6 locations. And so where we've used the example of McDonald's, because there's a lot of market data that we can base our averages off of to provide market expectations. It'd be really cool. Obviously, you'd have to have the business opportunities and find those small business owners, but there's an opportunity with all of the El Gordo Mexican restaurants of the world, or I guess maybe more of Central Indiana is kind of where we're focusing in on. But if we were to find our El Gordo Mexican restaurant, a small business owner looking to expand, looking for opportunities and trying to find real estate that's trying to drag them in, and again, we're in that business of partnerships. And if we're able to put the two together, the business at risk with the small business owner looking to expand, then we've done our job. And that's just where we get our small little cut for making the marriage happen. But that's really where we're at.
Thank you. Well done, guys.
Thank you, Sharks.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is Adam Horke. I just want to start off by saying thank you for taking time out of your night to join us and listen to our pitches. Tonight, I want to introduce you to Shift Plus, an umbrella company that melds the architect as developer business model and the master builder concept into one entity that partners with local landowners to provide much needed amenities to neighborhoods in a responsible way. So responsible development, what do I mean by that? To me, that means to create a healthy, quality place to live, work, and play while being environmentally conscious without gentrifying the area. So if we take Indianapolis, for those of you who are unaware, Indianapolis was originally laid out to be a 1 square mile capital city. So Northeast, South, and West Street were the original extents of Indianapolis. If we take just that 1 square mile, there is at least 20 apartment buildings within that square mile. I'm sure there are more that I missed. But if we take a closer look at some of those, I actually got these numbers today. 360 Market Tower, it's a luxury apartment building, 292 apartment units, and it's 95% occupied. Another apartment complex, multi-building one, the residence at City Way, of the 652, 600 of those are occupied, so 92%. And then this one, I actually lived in this building for 2 years, personally, right out of college. I can personally attest to the quality and the way of life in this building. It's very nice, 94% occupied. So I say all that to say there is not an apartment supply problem here in Indianapolis. There is a responsible development problem with a high housing demand. I actually currently work for a local leader in multifamily housing and mixed use projects. So I get where the developer is coming from. So if you take a typical project, these are just a few of the typical project expenses. I understand why developers might not necessarily cut corners, but go for a lesser grade and things and not be as environmentally conscious, because most developers are profit driven. So they need to meet a bottom line. As an example, literally in my firm just a few weeks ago, a developer asked us if they could raise the solar heat gain coefficient in the window, making them less efficient. But in order to get a building permit, you need to pass a comm check, and we only passed it by 1%. So changing the windows at all would have made us fail, and we wouldn't have gotten our building permit. So let's take an example of Shift Plus building business model. Meet Bob. Bob is a local landowner here in Indianapolis with a site, but he doesn't know what to do with that site. So if we go back and we look at, in comes Shift Plus. He meets me, basically, architect out of school who's been taught how to solve these complex problems in a responsible way. If we go back to our list of fees and expenses as a typical architecture project, we can start to subtract some of those fees when an architect comes on as the architect, builder, and a part owner. So like our land acquisition, that becomes an entity of the project-specific LLC through a partnership with the landowner. Architect's fees are covered by my company. I act as a construction manager, so construction oversight fees, contractor markups, advertising fees are covered because I will be wanting to advertise our project as a whole. There's certain fees that you can't get around, like filing fees, and then there's just some that you don't want to skip, like architects insurance and builders risk insurance, things like that, and of course attorney fees. But that's just the beginning. So if we look further around Indianapolis, like the neighborhood that we're currently in, we're actually on the far left side, right in the middle of the screen. The empty lots around this neighborhood just itself provide a lot of opportunity where an architect can partner with local landowners and bring those amenities that would benefit the neighborhood without gentrifying. So there's this neighborhood, Elevator Hill, Fountain Square is a very popular neighborhood. There's still plenty of areas to develop. Windsor Park is an up and coming area, and this dark, big building on the bottom left, that's actually the Circle City Industrial Complex, which is gaining a lot of speed. So developing around that. Broad Ripple is a very popular place for young adults. So what I'm asking you sharks is to buy into this business model, to buy into the idea, serve as advisors. I don't have an actual product tonight. I'm taking this plot of land, 1450 Pennsylvania Street that I showed earlier, and I'll be doing my thesis project on that actually. And then once I complete that, I will be ready to launch my business in the late spring of 2024. And what I'll be asking for is you really only need about 25% of the project covered in order to get a construction loan. At least that's what James Petty, an architect in New York who has championed the architect as developer project. So my fees cover about 6%. Land acquisition, let's say it's 9%. So we need the remaining 8% in order to get our construction loan. And that's where you guys would come in. So that could either be you have equity in the project, you just want a guaranteed return. So you invest $1 million and you want 1.2 back, and we can guarantee that return once the revenue comes in. There's a lot of different options that we can go down. So thank you very much. And yeah. Any questions?
Adam, you did a great job. You clearly know your stuff. You did a good job laying out the numbers, the plan. I mean, there's always 1,000 questions around this kind of thing, but you did a good job. It's a good presentation. My only advice would be, if you truly get in front of a group of investors, you got to sell it. Right. And the numbers, the material, you need to let the passion come through, right? Really, really let that energy come through to get people excited about it. But good job. Did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I on what Todd said. I liked how you laid everything. I liked the logo. I liked the thinking. Have you done research on other competitors that are currently out there that offer something like what you put together? What is the market saying for this?
Right. So here in Indianapolis, I'm not fully aware of any business that does what I'm proposing. There is a firm in Broad Ripple. It's called House Building Modern. They've actually created a sister company called Work. And so they are taking on the build part of their projects, but they do high-end residential. And so they build their own projects, but I guess they actually did develop their own building that they're in now, but that's the only one that they have done at this moment. But they were also, they financed their own project, which eventually I would like to do, but I saw this as a way that I could get into the door into something that I love doing. So being a part of the design team and building something and actually seeing it get built. So.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think, you clearly stated what the problem was and what your solution would be. So I think you're on the right track. I think I'll drop a link in the chat. I can think of one company, they're based out here in New York, that have a similar setup as what you're proposing. So maybe check that out and see if there's anything that you can learn from how things are running for them.
Right. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Jonathan Siegel out in San Diego, California. I actually would love to get out there next fall semester. We do a little field trip. I would love to go out there and essentially pick his brain for a week. Ask him like what he did that didn't work in his early stages and how he's been able to sustain his building model. So locally, fantastic. I don't know, but nationally, I know a few. Yeah.
Great. Well done.
Thank you.
Last but not the least, energy design biomimetics.
The best for last. We have very high expectations for this to end on a very high note. No pressure here for the last.
Good evening, everyone. This is Shomi, accompanied by Rishma. So with the advancement of technology, our lifestyle is moving too fast. Even in architecture, from the past to the future, a lot more has changed. Now, we can even be able to conceptualize and dream of this kind of interesting form of architecture. Even in the past, people thought about nature-driven futuristic design possibilities. For example, more than hundreds of years ago, Gaudi designed nature-driven forms, and Leonardo da Vinci sketched imaginary flying objects inspired by bird wings. But it took hundreds of years to build such types of things, as technology was not advanced enough then to build those. So the problem is lagging behind in the advanced technology. But eventually those got real. But honestly, how many of us get to see structures like that when we step out? Why are these types of advanced designs, design thinkings, not very common in architecture? Why? What are the reasons of lagging behind? It's because there is a lack of research data, lack of time, and human force in the professional field. And as we see, there is a loop of analysis, which you can see here. So it's analysis to design, design to construction, and again construction to analysis, where enough research is not being done properly. Even though there's funding opportunities for research and development in building construction, in US, a small number of architectural firms are involved in research, but still there are some research going on. That's a positive thing. Despite having scope for research, the question is, are there a lot of examples for groundbreaking or extraordinary innovations we can find in architecture using advanced and sustainable technologies? Well, honestly, the answer is no. So here comes our proposal for a research lab designed with biomimetics. So our idea is establishing a research facility or a lab which will be generating innovative design solutions using logic of biomimetics. And what is biomimetics? It is mimicking the structural system and the process that is inspired from the nature. It is not totally mimicking the formal expression of anything. So there are some existing research labs around the US which are actually working with this kind of thing. But these are some of examples of their products. They are all in research step. They are not in the manufacturing or the mass production. So our proposal is research will be focusing on generating the structural logic of nature and natural elements, not mimicking the form. That means less morphology and more morphogenesis. So this is an example of, we can use it as a prototype of our research thing. This is an example of a building which is come from the logic of a tree. So it doesn't look like a tree, but the logic behind it, its growth is the tree. So it is called some kind of biomimetics, which will be explored or designed or researched in our research lab. So what will be a biomimetic research lab contribute to our building industry? It will actually provide an enormous possibility to explore different structural systems inspired from structural logic of nature. So who will be the first primary beneficiary of our research lab? Obviously the architects, the designers, the manufacturers. And what is actually our plan from research to manufacture? It will be, we will do our research in our research lab, then patent the research, what will be research from our lab. Then we'll go for the prototyping, and then we will collaborate with the manufacturers for the mass production. So yes, it is possible here, design with biomimetics, a place where you can explore logic of nature and can find extraordinary solutions. Thank you, everyone. If there are any questions about our presentation, please feel free to ask. We are happy to answer that. Thank you.
Sorry, did you say that again?
So it's our proposal for a research lab that we are calling Design with Biomimetics. So where you can explore with design solutions which you can driven from natural elements or the structural logic from the nature.
Yeah, can you guys tell me, is it a nonprofit?
No, it won't be a nonprofit. It will be collaborate with the designers and the architect who actually want to work with this futuristic design. There are such a number of firms, architectural firms, they are actually want to design something different or something futuristic, but there are lack of research materials, so they cannot do that properly. So our research lab will be providing that research facilities for them, and we will collaborate with them with this research topic, and then we will actually having our patent for this research and also share our profit with them. Then we'll go for the prototyping, and after then we will go for a big, here our business plan actually.
Anybody else have other questions for the group?
Yes, ladies, well done for closing us out. You know, it's been a long night, so thank you for sharing this now. I think I have, my main feedback is, you know, because of the nature of what you're explaining, you need to find a way to make it a bit more digestible when you're pitching it, right? Because with how it started out, it could be easy to lose people in the value add that you're providing. Okay, so you need to find a way to make it more understandable for who it is you're pitching to, right? Because if you're pitching to professors or folks who understand the terminologies that you shared early on, they will get it. But when you're pitching it to investors who you're looking for money from,
yeah.
Yeah, you make it second grade language so that Todd can understand it.
Yeah. The other thing, Todd asked a good question, because I wasn't sure if it was a nonprofit, if it's for profit, how you make money initially, because I know you had said you would make money by collaboration, but what is the model? Like, what are the ways in which this is going to this business will financially sustain itself? How are you building the first research model? Where is that going to be? What does that look like? So, and I don't think you got an opportunity to touch on that. So if you could just share that with us.
So we will run our research. We will get that funding from the clients, obviously, and with that, from that research, the outcome we get, we will patent them. So we will earn some revenues from that prototypes and the patent, and also we will collaborate with manufacturers to manufacture it, and we will make the item available in the market so that whoever wants to design with that, they can use that, they can buy that, and they will use that in their design. So the main profit, like a lot of profit, will come from the manufactured item too.
So when you say manufactured item, because the image that you're showing or that you showed us were, excuse me, I think from the leaf, the tree structure, that looked like a full building. Like, how do you make, from an architecture code construction perspective, how do you make sure that this can actually build? I know you said you do the research. Are you actually going to go try to build it first, or are you just hoping that the client agrees and goes to build it? You know, like, you're coming up with things that have never been, right? And that was the premise that you started off with when you started the presentation. Well, how do I know that my client will buy this idea and go build it outside of the lab, outside of your research lab?
So the actual thing is, the idea will come from the designers. So they might have a proposal for, say they want something, some building or some structural systems that comes from the branch of a tree, or maybe the root system, how a tree makes a bridge or something like that. So they will come to us that how to make this, how to make it in real, because we have to have those research data, the set of data that are scientific, that are more real, that we can get the inspiration from, but we have to get those materials in real market that we can use and build the whole system with that. It can be a facade, it can be a whole building, it can be a whole envelope, it can be a pavilion, or anything, whatever they want. So the main idea will come from the designers.
So the thing is, our client will not be every architectural firm or every designer firm. Mm-hmm. That will be specific because everyone doesn't want to do such type of thing. So specific, some firm, they want to do such type of interesting interesting designs, but they cannot do that because of the lackings of research. They will come to us to collaborate with us, and then we will provide our research to make them that possible. So that will be actually our, that's our motto.
How many clients are you looking to work with in year one?
We haven't researched that yet, but I think there will be a lot of firms want to do that because everyone likes to dream big, but because of lackings of these limitations, we have limitations, so they cannot do that. So I think they will be interested if there is any possibilities. If I know there is a facility, I can get my research thing from them, I'll go there. So if I can establish such a research lab, I can also turn them to provide their project with us, to collaborate with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Good job.